Hey, all my Leo friends. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today with your August 2024 monthly horoscope. These horoscopes are based on whole sign Western astrology. So when I'm talking about Leo, I'm talking about Leo rising as the first house and dictating the landscape of the chart. This is also applicable to Leo sun, Leo moon. And if you have three or more planets in the sign of Leo, this is also applicable to you. When I refer to a day and a time, it's based on the Pacific time zone, so please adjust for your location. Well, the month starts off for me very strong. We had some really strong energies at the end of July, and we see a continuation of that. First and foremost, for me as an intuitive astrologer, is Pluto's square and a half to Jupiter. A square is a tense dynamic. There's friction. There is, a choice in roads to pick. And a square and a half to me adds like a blindside part of it. It's as if there's a choice to make, but I don't have all the information within my five senses, and I have to somewhere trust my gut. We have Pluto right now in the sign of Aquarius. It is retrograde. This is your seventh house of contractual partnerships, of both marriage and professional partnerships, but it's also the house that represents peace and harmony and a sense of balance. And so here, your individuality is very important within your partnerships. As Pluto retrogrades back into Capricorn, which is your sixth house of work, of service to others, it's also a house that very much represents mental stress. Now, the square and a half up here is to the Gemini, in the Gemini house of your hopes and your dreams. It's your 11th house. It is a house that represents the World Wide Web, big systems like the nervous system, big structures like the internet. It rules space and innovation and futuristic things. It also rules a sense of rebellion and a sense of really a strong sense of wanting to express the individual. So we have Jupiter expanding that idea here in Gemini, and Pluto is sort of bringing up this underbelly, but you can't quite feel what it is. It's like it's more this yearning that you can't put your finger on. Now, when you trust that gut instinct, we have Neptune and Uranus in long-term sextiles and trines to help support that idea. But initially, there could be doubt, there could be trepidation. Jupiter is in what considered detriment. It's in its furthest place away from its home. And yet Jupiter is a world traveler. So here Jupiter is getting to really experience the highest degree of diversity, where Jupiter gets to really hone in those big concepts by looking at the details of how my mind is perceiving them. How am I on an everyday basis using my speech, using my thoughts, using my five senses to connect to the bigger picture of what I want and what I want to experience. This dynamic runs in the background of the whole month. This uneasy feeling of having my beliefs in myself sort of, I want to use the word challenged, but it feels like it's challenged in many little ways. It's challenged on the outside because the outside environment feels very disruptive and inflammatory, and then it's bringing this back into my heart and asking me, what did my soul sign up for in this lifetime? Did I not sign up to enjoy myself, to express myself fully and authentically? So this is a really powerful way to start the month. We also have Mercury here that rules our mind in a growing square. Well, I should say this: Mercury is stationing to retrograde on the 4th. So this square doesn't reach its full fruition, but yet it's still in play. And this is sort of this push-pull. Mercury is not only in its rulership in Virgo, and Virgo is your second house of your self-worth, of your skills, of your family experience and how that affected your self-worth. Mercury is also exalted in Virgo. So it's very powerful in the house of Virgo, even more so than it is in the sign of Gemini. Again, being exalted and in rulership. This mind in Virgo is looking at process, it's analyzing things, it's trying to look to the 3D world. And the square to Mars is saying, I think I have to look at the bigger picture of things. I have to start to stretch myself and say, am I brave enough to implement within my everyday life the dreams and the hopes I have through my awareness of my faith, my awareness of my dedication in my belief system to stay the course. I think this is really, really powerful. Now we have what's going on this month too is we're starting to feel Saturn and Jupiter start their square. Saturn is retrograding in the sign of Pisces, and Pisces is your 8th house of transformation. We're going to experience this square 3 times before it passes. Once during this Saturn retrograde, and then we'll experience it when Jupiter retrogrades at the end of the year, and then in January when Jupiter goes forward again. So there'll be this old historic way of feeling, potentially fears, potentially doubts and trepidations, potentially feeling even a sense of, if I follow my dreams, I could perish. I could cease to exist because where will the resources come from? And do I really have enough talent? And will other people respond to me? And yet here's this yearning from Jupiter for expansion and sort of betting on your genius, betting on that the people will respond and trying to stay the course. It's really very much about faith, as represented by Jupiter, and then the Earth experience and fear as represented by Saturn, and this push-pull. And at the same time, Jupiter is making this square and a half to Pluto. So this is really, again, this is the background that's going on throughout the whole month. We're going to see Mars in a growing conjunction to Jupiter, and that is going to expand things in a very polarizing way. I think people who are standing in awareness will be able to take advantage of this conjunction, but people standing sort of on the earth and, in sort of a flat way could be very, very reactionary, very willing to fight for their beliefs, very willing to go to the mat. And this is growing and growing as we go through the month, getting into an exact position in the middle of the month. But we'll talk about that in a second. Now I want to go to the 4th, which is a very big day, because first we start it with a new moon at 4:13 a.m. And this is at 12 degrees of Leo. This is in your 1st house, Leo. This is the Piscean degree, and it's really an opportunity to plant the seeds for your own self-expression, for your heart's desires. If you want to have a child, if you want to birth something that you have created, if you want to just enjoy your life more, this is a perfect opportunity to really kind of buckle down and create a strong intention and communicate that intention to the universe. We see that this 12-degree new moon is in a sextile to Jupiter, and Jupiter is in this growing conjunction with Mars. This Jupiter is really, it's an offering of expansion, but in a way that requires faith, not hope, not wishing, but sort of this, like, I know definitively, regardless of whatever I see with my physical eyes, that these things that I want are possible. Now, we still have this haunting square and a half to Pluto that is kind of messing with you. And Pluto is now having a conversation with Venus. When we connect on this day of the new moon, at the exact time of the new moon, Venus is in a transit yod, is this sort of term I've coined. I don't know, maybe it's a real term. But here, Venus is the focal point of this quincunx to Neptune and the quincunx to Pluto. We experienced Mercury in this position back at the end of July. Mercury will come into this position 3 times before the transit is over. A yod is called the finger of God, where the focal planet, the focal point planet, is an opportunity for transformation. And here, while Mercury is not quite, I mean, it's within 5 degrees, so it's within orb, but it's considered sort of a loose orb. We were looking for really 2 to 3 degrees. Venus is very much my skills, my talents, my sense of self-worth. How are my partnerships? How are my friendships? My feminine and my feminine energy. How is that all playing out for me to receive from the universe the things that I want? And I see this reflected by the 29. This is literally the point of the fixed star Regulus, and it is in this quincunx at 29 degrees of Neptune. Neptune in retrograde, reviewing all of my sort of ancestral history and my willingness to trust an inner knowing versus seeing again with my eyes or being able to work it out in my head. Mercury is very much, rooted in this everyday life, getting up, checking your emails, getting your kids run to school, getting dressed, running your errands, making sure your bills are paid, making sure you're being, a responsible citizen. And all of this is this point right here is now asking you, are you happy at this? Is this really sustainable? Is this what you want long term? Because you may not be able to see how you can work yourself out of this or move yourself into a new dimension. Taurus is your 10th house of career. And you may not at this moment, again, be able to see it, but you can begin to feel it. And this is where Chiron becomes your friend in trine to this aspect, because it transforms the wound into a gift. This all starts the day at 4:13 a.m. By the end of this day, Mercury will go retrograde and Venus will have moved into Virgo, where she is in fall, but she will be at the 0 degree and in even stronger focal point here to Pluto. So let's go there. I'm going to go to about 10 p.m. in the day. Both transits will be in play. So here we see Mercury has gone retrograde. It's going to retrograde all the way back to 21 degrees of Leo in your first house, and then it's going to move forward again. So this is a pivotal time for review. If your language, if your thoughts, if your the people even that you hang out with are supporting the bigger vision of what you want, applying your sense of skills, your sense of how do I want to put it? I feel like the second house for Leo not only represents your skills, but if you don't use your skills, if you don't use your gifts and you don't use your talents, it really can kind of affect your health because it erodes your heart. It erodes your sense of entertainment. So this is a really powerful time to not only set intentions on this day, but to start to think about everyday activities that you can take to support those endeavors. And I want to offer it this way because I'm a big proponent of whenever you get in the shower is a great time to talk to spirit and to do your prayer work and to do your intention setting because of the water element and the whole cleansing process. So I hope that helps you find time, because lots of times people say, I can't find time to sit down and quiet my mind. I don't know that spirit always expects us to be able to have a quiet mind. We are in a human body, and that by nature is contrary and contrasting. So Mercury will be in retrograde from this day, 8/4, all the way through the end of the month to August 28th. And we see that it moves back into Leo on the 14th. This dynamic that we've been talking about today pretty much sets the tone for the next couple of weeks. I'm going to move now back to 12 o'clock and go to the 14th, which I think is a very powerful day because we see here now that Jupiter and Mars are in an exact conjunction. This can be very aggressive, I'll say, because Jupiter expands things and Mars can be very, Mars is the god of war. So and then we have the Mercury in this quincunx to Pluto. My transit yod here is Neptune. Will you escape? Will you stand in alignment to your divine self, your divine soul, the divinity within you. This conjunction as well is making a almost exact square to Saturn. We'll see that happening shortly between these two planets. And then we have this opposition to the moon. And while this is fairly temporary, there could be this sort of feeling of having your fifth house is Sagittarius, and Sagittarius rules, large concepts. It rules philosophies and ideologies. And you could find that your ideologies are in opposition with those that are in your community, in your neighborhood, in your workplace. And that you, up until now, you never knew that people thought like this or that they differed in such a way. And you could feel a sense of real, just feeling opposed, as if all of a sudden people that you're used to knowing you are now as if they don't know you. This loose square here to Venus in your second house at 11 degrees makes me feel as if there's an awareness of my thoughts, that the Leo energy is echoed in the 17 degrees of Saturn and the moon here. And then we have this 16-degree Cancerian energy with this conjunction. So the focus of home, the focus of patriotism, the focus of the country of origin could very well be in place. And again, Gemini is your 11th house of hopes and dreams. And there could potentially be people who have differing opinions and they feel very rigid about them, and it feels a bit like it's personal, but I don't know if I would take it personally. I think it's just the environment. I also want to bring up that if I don't know the exact date, I'm filming this at the end of July, but I do believe that the Democratic National Convention is about this time, within this couple of days of this conjunction, and this could really inflame people in one way or another. They'll become very passionate about their beliefs. And again, if you have differing beliefs, you just want to sidestep that kind of situation for now so you can maintain balance within the situation and relationships. Let's go now to the full moon in Aquarius. It's going to happen on the 19th of August. This happens at 11:25 a.m. Oops. Oh, good. Sorry, let me take it off here. So here we have the full moon at 27 degrees in opposition. I'm sorry, the sun in opposition to the moon, which creates a full moon as the moon is reflecting the light of the sun. It's also sort of, in a weird way, from my perception, it's sort of having this. Mercury's having a conversation. Mercury is technically combust. Any planet is when it's so close to the sun, but Mercury travels within the sun's orbit. It's used to it. So here, I think there's an illumination of the mind. There's an illumination of what I want in the way of my my emotional body, and what I want for how I roll in my sense of feeling peace and harmony, a sense of cooperation, a sense of flow, a sense of that it's okay for me to have my own personal dynamics without having the rest of me all invalidated. This is a time when I feel like people will pull little strings of our character and inflame them to make us wrong or make us bad. And it's important, I think, for us to maintain that to be aware of the environment. So I think there's going to be a big illumination. Not only is this Mercury representing the way you think, it's also representing how other people think. Mercury represents our workmates, our teammates, the moms in the school drive-up line, the people at Costco, the roadways, the escalators, the shopping malls, your emails, the TikTok, little short bits of information, Twitter, or whatever it's called, X. Sorry, I liked Twitter name better. So it's very, very illuminating full moon. And what I think the focus of the illumination is this conjunction between Jupiter and Mars. And it's T square to Saturn, and Saturn's opposition to Venus, and Venus is square here. So the focus is going to be on people who feel aggressive, feel they're fighting for their beliefs. They believe wholeheartedly that they're right. And I think that this is honestly an opportunity to demonstrate how you would like someone to respond to you if you were on the differing side of their opinion, which you may very well be. We see the opposition, and Venus is making squares to both these two planets. It's really a very tense time. At the same time, we have our transit yod still in play. So there's a lot of things pointing at how will you show up when the landscape is not necessarily friendly? Will you fall in with the unfriendly landscape and fight with it, or will you look for beauty in the diversity? And that's really what I want to say, because at the very end of the day, the best thing you could do is to focus on your dreams, your hopes, your wants, instead of getting caught up in what's happening around us. Gemini is always going to infer other people. It's always going to infer some sort of busyness. And most humans interact with other humans all day long. So I think this is a powerful day to be aware. And I do think that if indeed the political environment has people talking, that this could be a focal point of people being inflamed. We also see, as I said, Saturn is now in an exact square to Jupiter. This is the first of three. Again, the second will be in December, and then the third in January 2025. So we see history, old structures, government, and potentially even some deception or some fog, because here is Pisces in a square to Jupiter, which represents expansion and philosophical beliefs. We also could see things going on within the court systems, and even related to higher education that feels contrary. This could be another thing that inflames. Some may be feeling a lack of, how do I want to put this? It's almost as if the old Saturn energy is repressing and limiting the expansion, and it's creating frustration. And the expansion is limiting my ability to feel free, that my dreams and my hopes are viable. That's the way I want to, I guess, phrase it. So this is a huge, the focal point being Jupiter and Mars. Very powerful, powerful indeed. Okay, now we go on to the sun, where it will have its moment in our transit yod. I'm going to go back to 12 p.m. and the sun has moved into Virgo. This, again, first we saw Mercury, then we saw Venus, then we saw Mercury again, and now the sun, all in this focal point that to me really reflects that I get to go into a place of examining where there's toxicity, where there's power and control over me that is out of balance or that is not serving me. And as I reflect on that, how will I use my divine tools, my meditations, my intentions, my physical apparatus, meaning my physical body, to support my birthing the version of myself that represents my soul on this earth plane. Again, the sun representing your vitality, your ambition, your drive, your ego. And this is a tense, how can I do this? I don't know. And so this moment is, what I'm trying to do is infuse awareness now, so it doesn't feel like as much of a blind side as it could be for the average person, because the liberation of what we, to move forward feels thwarted. And that's the square from the sun to your 10th house, Taurus. But I don't believe it's necessarily thwarted. It feels like it's more about creating a strong, because when I click on Uranus, we see it is making favorable aspects to Neptune, favorable aspects to Pluto, and it's really offering this sort of, it's almost like a hurry up and wait idea, because it could feel like nothing's happening and then something happens very unexpectedly. And it could even be an opportunity where you would have to bet on yourself in a way you never have before. This could be reflected by a potential work experience, using your skills, creating some sort of dynamic within your career sector, which would give you an opportunity to recalibrate, to innovate, to move your story to its 2.0 version. And yet you may feel like you're trying to figure it out too much. So there's just this whole year, this whole period of time feels so like it's going to be in the history books, really. There's so much shifting going on. Mercury will go direct on the 28th. I think it's a little later in the day, but I'll start with 12. Yeah, let's go later in the day. So Mercury has now gone direct. And again, it's going to go into that yod, transit yod, as I like to refer to it. So there's going to be an opportunity to start to feel that with less, how do I want to put it? The blind spot that I think a quincunx creates means that my physical apparatus cannot see a solution, but my inner voice can. My soul can feel something that there's no evidence of on the outside, and that is what is being called forth. I really believe that. We also see that as Mercury moves forward, Venus is about to move into her rulership. She is in conjunction with the supergalactic center. She is having an opposition with Neptune. Neptune sometimes can represent that fog, that wanting to escape, that like, I don't want to have to deal with it. The 29th degree reduces down to an 11, the master number of thought. We see the 27 is the Gemini energy, which is again ruling thought. And this opposition could be Venus coming into a position where she's starting to understand, as she reaches the supergalactic center, that the greatest relationship that she's creating on this planet is the relationship with herself. That relationship with herself and the health of that relationship is what she brings into her partnerships with others. And as you're getting into this conjunction and it's moving into your third house of Libra, it's an opportunity to be egoless to other people's opinions, to trust a bigger knowing, even though it doesn't make sense and it feels as if, there's too much fog. I want to see results, because Leo loves to see results, but you're feeling these results now. We see that Venus is now in a trine. She's starting to benefit from the quincunx. She's starting to benefit from the processes that she walked through while she was practical in their Virgo journey. And this is an opportunity for liberation on some level. Now, taking action may not be exactly where we want to go yet, because we're still anchoring in that sense of self-worth, that sense of faith. And by tomorrow, Venus is in her rulership. So this to me is there's a lot of awareness here. She's not only in her rulership, she is sitting here about to approach the South Node. And this South Node can feel very erosive, like I have no self. I don't matter. The partnership matters. The group piece matters. And yet when you put yourself as a priority, then you become an energy that fosters that peace, that represents that peace. You become an anchor for peace. And I mean this like in a way of peace of mind, trusting that the soul has a vibration, trusting that you are source energy and everything that you want to experience is here for you as you put your hand, I shouldn't say your hand, put your trust in the hand of God, in the hand of the universe, knowing that the universe is almost like a computer. So if you want to experience something, you type that experience into the toolbar and it takes you to that website. It's the same thing with the universe. You want something, you focus on what you want, not the lack thereof or how you're going to get there. And that could be the biggest stretch, because Leo very much wants to experience something in the 3D world that will then take them into that place of faith. But it kind of works the other way around. It's stepping into faith that will actually bring faithful experiences to you. So this is a really huge month. We see, again, I want to I'm going to click off of Pluto. Sorry. Whoops. I just want to emphasize that one of the main themes at now by the end of the month, the square and a half to Pluto has subsided, but it is a theme throughout the whole month. And I think that while the square between Jupiter and Saturn is still tense, overall, I think the Plutonian energy moving calms things down. So this might be happening more on the outside and we're observing it versus on the inside. So meaning the square between Saturn could represent certain things happening with government, authorities in our life, the bosses in our life, the elders in our life that are contrary to our faith or to our expansion at this time. But it could very well be because the landscape, Spirit's got something going on in the background, something that you might not be aware of. And this is maybe evidenced a bit by Mars's sextile to Mercury and to Chiron. So, and that would be evidence in the respect of Mars having the wherewithal to see what I'm thinking, and that starts to transform any wound into a gift. That Aries is your ninth house, that ninth house where you start to believe in philosophies and things that are outside of yourself that support you, and that are not sort of hopes and wishes, but rather real truths. So that's it for the month of August, Leo. It is truly an action-packed month. We are lucky enough to experience some trines at the end of the month with Pluto, bringing in supportive energy for our transformation and bringing us into a rebirth cycle. We're still reviewing some things there, but we'll get where we want to go. I'm pretty sure of that. All right. Thank you so much for listening. Again, my name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer. I am here on Sunday mornings, 11 a.m. Pacific time. That's where we do an angel reading and pull a tarot card for each sign. And we get the angel's advice for traversing the week ahead's transits. If you'd like to book a reading with me, my information is below in the description and I am available. Thank you so much. Please like, please subscribe, please share, and please comment. Sending lots of love to you, and I will see you in September. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.